Tonight, a Dallas nurse diagnosed with Ebola being treated at Emory University Hospital in Atlanta. An ambulance with a crew clad in hazardous material suits arrived at Texas Health Presbyterian in Dallas this afternoon. They transferred the patient by ambulance to a jet. Amber Vinson contracted the disease while caring for original Ebola patient Thomas Duncan.
So what's next for airlines when it comes to dealing with Ebola? Ken Jenkins is an Aviation Crisis Consultant, and he talks with KRLD's Heather Behrens.
Is there a specific protocol for handling Ebola if for some reason someone were to become violently ill with it on a flight?
There are. Airlines are being briefed, and again, each is different in terms of how they're conducting those briefings. But airlines are briefing their flight attendants and crew and frontline employees on activities to do. They are compliant with the CDC guidelines, so they're basically looking at what CDC offers in terms of the level of assistance that should be provided. If it's on board the plane during the flight, then it's going to be those protocols that we talked about a few moments ago, where if you can isolate that passenger, you might be, if there's space on the plane to do that, and certainly then to provide a mask, check the temperature, radio to dispatch to find out, do we need to interrupt that aircraft to an alternate location for immediate disembarkation?
You said they would have to isolate the passenger, but I mean, there's not a lot of places to go on an airplane. Where would you isolate them?
And that depends on the load factor of the aircraft. So certainly not in every case can you isolate a passenger. If you cannot, there are masks and gloves in the medical kit to provide the suspected passenger for them to wear, to reduce any spread of bodily fluids.
But we are relying on passengers to be transparent and honest about where they've been, what they've done, what they've been exposed to. I mean, what else can the airlines do?
So to that extent, if people aren't going to be honest, then you look at your frontline employees, particularly in transportation, then to be able to recognize potential symptoms and bring them to the attention of those necessary, whether it's police or paramedics at an airport, before somebody boards a flight. If it's during the flight, is to take the passenger that is showing symptoms of an illness and providing them with masks and gloves, and to those around them if they have that many on board the plane, and then to have that person removed from the plane using the appropriate medical gear that's necessary.
Bottom line, is there anything that airlines can do to protect themselves and passengers?
Well, sure, and I think they're already doing it. Certainly the CDC has said on the 5 major airports that bring in flights from the impacted countries, they're already testing in terms of taking temperatures to check for fever of those passengers coming from the impacted Ebola countries. Additionally, the airlines have the capability to sterilize aircraft where it's necessary. They can bring in crews to take care of that. Some airlines have already, back when pandemic flu was the big discussion, outfitted aircraft with additional masks and gloves. So I think they're already doing what they can do.
That's Ken Jenkins, an Aviation Crisis Consultant. He was the Emergency Response Manager for American Airlines for more than a decade.